And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey folks, I'm Tom Vasel, and I like WizKids. I think they make a lot of great games. But they need to fire whoever is making their box covers, because this is, oh my goodness. If I was walking in the store and I saw this, I'd be like, no. That came out in the 70s, right? Empires. It's a boring name. It's a boring looking game. And then I was looking through my games, picking some to take to game night, and I was like, 2 to 10 players? 10? This is a Euro game. It has meeples and money and economics and stuff. 10 players? So I took it and tried it out. And lo and behold, the cover doth not portray the game. Let me show you. There's a lot of pieces in this game. We got a pile of bonds, pile of workers, territories, money, goods, supporters, and this is all one big giant pile. These are victory points in revolts. Those are negative victory points. You can see them here. And you're going to have some territories here that you're going to put out. And you have a pile of territories based on the number of players. So for example, this one here is only used in a 5-player game. You'll shuffle them and put out one equal to the number of players. So if we were playing with 6, we would have these out like this. Each player is going to pick a country. If you can randomly do it, or you can bid on, basically who's going to get each country. This will tell you your starting resources. So Austria starts with 5 gold. They start with 1 bond. They start with 3 goods. They start with 4 workers. 1, 2, 3, 4. And they start with 3 territories. Now, there are some rules in this game about resources. And what it is, if you ever have some resources, you have to combine them immediately. So if you ever have a bond and a gold, so let's switch this to 5 single golds. If you ever have a bond and a gold, you must put them together to make a bank, like this. That's a bank. If you ever have a worker and a luxury and a good, you put them together to make a luxury. So I have 1, 2, 3 luxuries. And then also I put person on a territory to make an industry. Now, if you have a choice, which I did, between goods and territories, you pick the goods first. So what I have here is I actually have several resources. I have 1 bank, I have 3 luxuries, I have 1 industry, I have 2 territories, and I have 4 money. So that's what I have in front of me. So the game is going to take place over 5 rounds, and in the first 4 rounds, and actually in all 5 rounds, you're going to do the develop phase. And so whenever you develop, if you have any unemployed people who are not in goods or a territory, extra people basically, if you have more than 1, so if you have 2 or more, you take 1 negative point. For each bond you have without money in it, which means you're running out of money, you take a negative point. Then, for each bank, you have to pay their coin to the supply, which in this case instantly turns into another bank. And for each luxury that you have here, you pay the good to the bank. So I would pay 3 goods to the bank, and I would get 3 points for that. 3 supporters. Luxuries are great. For each and then you can see these guys would come onto territories, but for each territory you have, you would get 1 good. So now we're going to redo some of this stuff like this, and there we have it. So it's a little bit different after I'm done developing. Now, there's really no choice in development, but now, if you happen to have any extra goods, and some players might, in the second part of the game, the market, you can decide how many of those goods you're going to sell. Each player has a deck of cards that are from 0 to 10 of their country. And so you can see there's different cards of different countries here, and you're going to be playing one of those cards secretly, and that's how many goods you're going to sell. Depending on how many goods are sold, let's say in this instance, 6 goods were sold in total. So players will put them like this, 4, and then each good is going to be the value that's left over. So there are 3. So if I sold 3 goods, I'm going to get 9. Now you realize if you sell too many goods here as a group, they could be worth very low or worth nothing at all. And the goods are gone and you get none. And I have some of these numbers blocked off based on the number of players. So that's the second thing in each round. The third thing in each round is you're going to go to war. and you're going to be fighting over these territories here. Each player, again, is going to pick a card from their hand. That's how much money you're going to be paying from money that you have on hand, and you need to have enough money to be able to afford it, obviously. And whoever bids the lowest is going to be the diplomat. That person is going to break ties. Everyone else, starting from the highest down, is going to pick one of these. And whichever one you pick, you're going to get what's on it. So I might get 3 territories and a good, or 4 people. Here, I don't know if I want this one, 2 people and 2 revolts, or I get a good and 3 gold, whatever you might get. And then when the round's over, we'll take one of these off, slide these over, and add another one in. This one here gives a bond and 5 gold 3 times and a revolt. It's a lot of money. You can be paying it off for the next several turns. And then that is a whole round. You go back, you do another round. It's mentioned right here on your sheet. You can see develop, market, war, develop, market, war. You'll do that 4 times. In the 5th round, you'll simply do develop. And then at that point, you're going to add up your supporters, subtract your revolts, and whoever has the most points is the winner. There's no question there are a lot of pieces in this game. Oh man, there's tons of workers and bonds and things. They're not bad, although there's a ton of punching out to do. They don't look awful, and you're throwing these pieces all over the board. So my first temptation is to say these are pretty boring, but you know, it works for this game. The cards themselves, the different countries, these are very pretty. Again, you could have just given everybody a set of cards from 1 to 10, or from 0 to 10, but I like the different backings for them. That looks good. The boards themselves also help. Each player themselves has a special ability they can use. So for the Austria, at the start of develop phase, if every other player has more territories than you, you get a gold for each of your luxuries. So you have to kind of pay attention to what do each of your special abilities do. And you have them all listed on your national powers, and even on the back, there's even a closer one where you can take a look and see these are what each of the different powers do. And there's quite a few of them, and how they act might change how you play the game. But overall, it's good quality. It's better than the box would have led me to believe. Now, one thing that's important to mention here is you are allowed to trade in this game at any point, any time. This is a pretty critical rule. I didn't mention it till now because I wanted to really kind of emphasize this, because other than that, the game is kind of rote. Boom, boom, boom. Sure, there's auctioning and selling goods, but it's the trading and when to trade and what to trade. Because of this, the game can go down to 2 players. But I would never play it with 2. I would never play it with 3. I played it with 4 and was okay. It was the more players, the better. Now, of course, you're going to need a big table, and there'll be more shouting as time goes by. But it's much more interesting the more players involved because of that trading aspect. You know, this game actually reminded me of a much simpler version of Sidereal Confluence, a game I love. And this game has a lot of the similar ideas in it, but it's much more streamlined. Again, this is not a long game. The box says 30 to 60 minutes. That 60-minute limit there is only if you take a long time arguing over what to trade. Other than that, it's boom, and everyone does their resource at the same time. Boom, how many goods we're going to sell. Boom, let's all bid for the stuff in the middle. Done. 1/5 of the game just finished. That's not hard. That's not long. And so I think a lot of people will be attracted by that. Some people will get into the game and it will autoplay them, right? They'll go like, da, 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 I want that, I didn't get that, I got that, okay, how does that work? Da, da, da. And you'll feel like I didn't make many choices. But you cannot underestimate the trading importance of this game. This game is fun, but what I kind of find fascinating is they took this huge economic system, luxuries and trade, and I was like, stick it in a box, crunch it in. We have this huge, giant concepts, and now they're very simple and easy. Not to mention there's different countries with their special abilities, so that has to matter too. The game can get to the point where you can look at one player and go, they have a pretty strong economic engine, I don't know how we can stop them. And that's possible, right? You can get to the point and they can even win the auctions they want to win and do well at that. And I get that. But again, because it's 30 minutes, it's not that big of a deal. I was very surprised by this. This fits a niche that's not really out there much. Like, hey, there's 8 of us and we want to play a Euro-style game. You know, we want to play a game but not a party game. Well, this really isn't a party game. It could get that way, I suppose. But this is kind of a fast and furious trading, watching things grow, going back and forth. I'll trade with you because you aren't doing as well as this person's doing. The simple concepts, everything you need to know. I mean, the rules for this game are, I think, 10 pages. And I distinctly remember when I was going through them, I was like, okay, that's it? I mean, most of these rules are examples of how to play the game. It's not a complex game by any means. And at the end of the game, you are literally just counting up the points and seeing who won. If there's a tie, then it goes to gold, or whoever has the higher numbered nation will win after that. But for the most part, it's getting those point cards whenever you can. Getting people onto your luxuries. Too many people, you'll start losing points. You want to get that right amount. You get an extra person, maybe you'll trade them off to somebody else. You get extra goods, you'll trade them to other people. Like I said, there's probably more complex concepts that are in this game, but as it is, it's fairly abstracted out and it works well for me. So it's almost the party Euro game, the light filler of economic games, the game that works with 10 people. Either way, it fits a lot of categories. So don't judge it by its cover. Well, maybe some people like that cover. Go figure. I don't. But the game itself is a lot more interesting and entertaining. I definitely recommend it. Empires. Dice Tower Judgment, approved!
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.